Lesson 4, I'm gonna talking about welfare economics, which is demand and sub. What beginning in the beginning, we are talking about demand and supply. Okay, let's start. Demand curve measures the willingness of consumers to buy the goods. Supply curve measures the willingness of suppliers supply the good. Supply and demand curves can shift when there are changes in ability of producers to supply, driven by cost of an input or technology, or changing consumer tastes or preferences, or changing incomes, or just changes to the price of complement or substitute goods. A rise in the price of a substitute good for good X raises the demand for X. For example, suppose let taste change so that folks want to drive big cars. Gasoline cars are a complement for gas. Because as people want more of gasoline cars, they want more gas. This will shift out the demand for gas. Now suppose that there is a war in the Middle East and we suddenly it is harder to get as much gas. This makes it more expensive to get gas, so for each quantity of gas the suppliers need to charge more, which causes an upward shift in the supply curve. Case of perfectly elastic demand. Demand will drop to zero if price moves at all from the original equilibrium. What is consumer surplus? The consumer surplus is an area under the demand curve and above the price, since the demand curve represents the marginal willingness to pay for the goods. Consumer surplus is inversely related to elasticity of demand. That means if the if the item is perfectly inelastic item, then the consumer supply area nearly infinite. But if the product is um is perfectly elastic product, then there is no consumer surplus. Surplus. The producer surplus. Producer surplus is the area above the supply curve and below the price. Since the supply curve represents the marginal cost of producing a good. Remember in the short run, the supply curve equals to marginal cost curve. In the long run, producer surplus is a profit. So we have consumer surplus. We have consumer surplus. We have producer surplus. Plus then is total welfare. In in competitive equilibrium, where supply equals to demand, maximizing total welfare. Uh, the market e- the market equilibrium is where supply curve and the demand curve intersection. So what if the price didn't didn't maintain the market equilibrium? That will be a deadweight loss. The deadweight loss is the loss in welfare that is a result of moving away from the perfectly competitive equilibrium. Deadweight loss can be caused by monopolies, government taxation, or just set a price ceiling, price uh b- the price background. Okay, what should you know? Describe factors that shift supply and demand curve. Explain how consumer surplus depends on the elasticity of a demand curve. Explain that what loss in is intuitively. Explain why competition maximizes total surplus. And you need to know how to calculate consumer surplus, producer surplus, and deadwood loss from various government policies, like quantity restriction, price ceiling, price floor tax, etc. Okay, so how will government interventions? How can government affect our markets? Interventions in market can also lead to disequilibrium. For example, imposing a minimum wage means that more people will want to work than employers want to hire at a minimum wage. This creates unemployment. The cost of these interventions is found in reduced efficiency, trades that are not made. There may be benefits in greater equality. So that basically is efficiency and equality trade-off. Price ceiling is a legal maximum price that for the goods and services. A valid price ceiling is usually before the equilibrium price. With price ceiling at equilibrium, quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. The price floor is a legal maximum price that for the good and service. With price floor at equilibrium, quantity demand is less than quantity supply. These restrictions generate deadweight loss and efficiency loss. Yeah, always a triangle area if the government set price ceiling or price floor. Know what's to know? To know is know what price ceiling and price floor are and identify their effects in the markets. Know what is wrong with excess supply and excess demand. Analyze the effect of price ceiling in graph. Analyze the effect of the price floor in graph. Okay, so that's all about welfare economics. I'm not seriously dive into that topic, but I think it is enough. Basically just equity and efficiency trade-off, right? So kind of normative economics in when we talk about welfare economics because it is things should be okay. So let's lesson 4, lecture 4. Thank you for listening. The next part is monopoly. Okay, so see you next time.